Should we talk about how Brian Johnson, on the topic of microplastics, Brian Johnson tweets about how many microplastics he finds in his semen? And it is, have you seen these tweets?
I have not seen the exact tweets, but I also don't follow Brian Johnson all that closely because he drives me nuts.
Yes, these tweets are so out of control. This is male longevity clickbait where he talks about the amount of microplastics in his semen. Like, he knows what he's doing.
How many microplastics does Brian Johnson have in his semen? I mean, this man is living. He's a living test tube. He doesn't live a real life. All he does is experiments on himself. He just stays in this box of like doing this, doing that. I mean, his whole life is driven around longevity, but it's interesting because your goal is to live forever. But what kind of life are you living when all you care about is living forever?
Yeah. Oh, well, that's the great irony of it, isn't it? That you're missing your whole life by trying to make it longer.
Right.
There's something very sad to that. But I actually, Charlie, can I sidebar us and tell people the story of when I was supposed to be at a dinner with Brian Johnson and I wound up at your apartment instead?
Oh my gosh, yes, please. This was great.
This was in February. I was supposed to go to a 20-person, this intimate, what was told to me as a Brian Johnson dinner, right? So it's supposed to be a dinner discussing longevity. And the friend of mine who was bringing me as her plus one was a little tied up with some stuff that was going on. So very tied up with some media matters. And so last minute, this very good friend who is dealing with one of the biggest PR crises that you could possibly deal with sends me a message saying, go to the dinner anyways without me. And it's very kind to say, please worry about yourself. I'm really not thinking about this dinner. But I think, you know what? I'll go. It's February. How am I dressed for dinner? I am wearing a black leather skirt, black tights, knee-high boots with heels.
Very New York-y.
Yes, we're in New York City. Sorry, I should have set the stage for that. A fur jacket. And I go to this location that is just a few blocks, happens to be a few blocks from Charlie's apartment. And I walk in and I'm in a spa. And I'm very confused. And
specifically, you were in Othership.
Oh, Othership. Yeah, that's right. But I didn't even know what I was going to. I just looked up the address.
Which is a bathhouse for everybody who doesn't know. It is a bathhouse.
You're right. It's not even a spa. It's literally a bathhouse. I walk in and I have some breathy front desk girl. And I say, is this the Brian Johnson event? And the woman responds to me, yes. like the breathy bathhouse front desk girl
very
voice.
Serene.
Yes. And she says, yes. And I say, where is the dinner? And she said, Brian is giving a speech in the sauna right now. And I'm like, wait, what? And I'm in this entire winter outfit, and I had my makeup done. I thought I was going to a dinner. I have fake eyelashes on. I look at her, I'm like, my eyelashes are going to be like falling off my face. I look at her, I'm like, there's no way for me to walk into a sauna in this outfit. That's not happening, right? And she says, well, we do have, and it's all breathy, we have these disposable single-use bathing suits. And I think, okay, let's see what this is. Maybe it's worth it. Maybe I should buy this bathing suit and try to go in. Because also, I don't want Brian Johnson saying my name, or anyone for that matter. I don't want to be invited to an intimate event to be a no-show. Like, that's a bad look. She brings out what I could best describe as a hospital gown material bathing suit with bottoms, where I'm thinking, like, I look at her and I say, my tits are going to be at the floor if I try to wear this, because this is not holding my boobs up. This is not happening. Okay? And I'm like, what should I do? And she says, and she does not know what to do. She's just frozen in time. She said, everyone else brought bathing suits. I'm like, well, great. I call Charlie and I go, Mom, pick me up. Pick me up. So I head over to Charlie's.
Like a good mother would, I picked you up, directed you to my apartment, and we had ourselves a little girls' night. But yes, and then remember the next day, you were unable to attend, and then I went to Brian Johnson's Don't Die Summit, and that's where I was really exposed to how much of I'm not going to speak unkind about him, but how obsessed he is in my opinion, the most unhealthy of ways. Like, they just do not make sense. But I also want to mention, Aaron, because we're talking about the microplastics in his semen. He recently shared, this was back in June, his ejaculate contains a higher concentration of microplastics compared to his blood. He mentioned that while he had reduced microplastics in his blood by 93%, his semen still had 239% the amount found in his blood. Which is really interesting because if this is indeed true, how many microplastics are in regular men's semen? And should we be worried? Should our future children be worried?
We're just going to have plastic bottles as babies in the future. That's what's going to happen. I hope mine's Diet Dr. Pepper.
I hope mine's Diet Coke.
But also, it being that greater percentage of his blood, what does that even mean? Is that still even a lot? Is it a little? I don't even know.
He had reduced it in his blood by 93%. I don't know if how much that means he still had in his blood. Like, just because you reduced it, were you already at 300%? So I don't know. I don't know why it would navigate its way, the microplastics, towards your semen of all places. But this is a question for a professional.
I think, like, how many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop? The world may never know. And I hope that I never have to think about Brian Johnson's semen again. But I have a sinking feeling this won't be the last time that we have to discuss this topic. But and I'm sorry to absolutely everybody for listening to this conversation. But I think Charly one day, or you're welcome. You're so welcome.
I was going to say, I think it's more of a you're welcome moment.
We always want to provoke your thoughts. We want you to think differently and bring you with the hard-hitting news.